The silent killer of people paying attention to your ads is your ability to be persuasive, but not just your ability, really having understanding of techniques that actually work. What people fail to realize is that what makes your ads persuasive is your ability to understand human psychology. That's what makes it persuasive. A lot of people just putting out content, especially in our space. We're guilty of this. And I was guilty of this at one point too, where I just thought it was all about just the content. I thought it was just all about, oh, how smart I am and how much I know. And I realized that it doesn't, yes, that plays a part in it because people want to know that you're an authority. But at the same time, you have to understand what works, what tools work, not necessarily software tools, but in terms of like tools of psychology, tools of what's going to be powerful to people and make them want what you have. And if you can't do that, then you're going to find it hard to get somebody to take action on your content or get somebody to trust you or believe in you or believe in your brand. You're not going to change any lives because you can't, although you can be the smartest person in what you do, you can be the best person. But if you don't know how to communicate that through advertising, it's going to be hard for you to get. It's going to be hard for you to expand your exposure. One is emotional appeal. Emotional appeal. Your emotional appeal is you have to drive emotions in your advertisement. Use emotionally driven words. Have ways. There's a reason why the Clear Eyes guy, for some of you who remember him, right? The Clear Eyes guy, when you talk in monotone, that doesn't really move you. What moves people? What moves people is the feeling. What moves people is the emotion. What moves people is you making them feel something inside that makes them say, I feel that way. When you can share with people something that makes them feel an emotion, especially the emotion you want them to feel. Like, you ever watched a movie and you felt a certain emotion when the character went through that emotion? Well, that means that movie or that scene had emotional appeal. So how can you make what you do in your advertisements and your marketing more emotionally driven? That's number one. Number two, storytelling. You want to be able to tell stories. We hear this all the time. Facts tell, stories sell. So what kind of stories can you add to your advertising that's going to make it more interesting, that's going to make it more appealing to people? Think about relevant stories that people want to know. Number three, humor. Add something to lighten it up. Sometimes, people could take business super, super serious, right? And it could be super serious in certain instances, but have fun. Throw some humor in there. How can you, one of the biggest challenges I had early on was I'm more silly and humorous. And when I first started, I was looking at people like E.T. I was looking at other people online, and I thought I had to be super serious and super, just intense. But I realized that my personality is more enthusiastic. My personality is more energetic. If you ever been around me, my personality is more humorous. I'm more silly. I like to have fun. We like to joke and laugh. And I realized that I wasn't bringing that to my content and I wasn't bringing that to my advertising because I thought I had to be a certain way. So how can you add more humor to what you do? 4, celebrity endorsement. This is huge. Anytime you can be around celebrities or you can include that as part of your marketing, include it. Add them. If you're around them, take some pictures, photos, whatever. And if there's a way that you can add that to your marketing campaign, do it. I've done it plenty of times. I've taken pictures and posted it with Bobby Smurda, with with Lala Anthony, with who else? I mean, shout out to ET the Hair Power Preacher. A lot of y'all saw my videos with that, with Busta Rhymes, with did I get a picture with Joe Budden? I don't know. And actually, I don't think I did. I was talking to him because I was at a particular event, but I met Joe Budden on multiple occasions, right? But who else? Al Sharpton. There was a bunch of influencers like that I took pictures with at one time, like Shiggy, Fat Boy. I got pictures with Tiana Taylor. Who else? And other people, I mean, folks that's more in our industry, Jay Shetty, Lewis Howes, shout out to Inky Johnson. I mean, the list of influencers, celebrities, it goes on. You know what I mean? And some of these we ran ads against, some of these we didn't. But when you add it, it makes your advertising more powerful. 5 testimonials, you know this already, right? And how can you add testimonials? That increases the know, like, and trust factor. So you want that. 6 is the bandwagon effect. So that is, you know what a bandwagon is, right? That you see somebody else doing it and you jump on a bandwagon, right? So the bandwagon effect is really like having, you know, if they hear and see other people doing it and it looks dope, you want to be a part of it. So how can you show something where it's like other people that are interested in it? The fear appeal, right? That's like the fear of missing out. So if you can share people like, yo, listen, if you don't make a change, like these are the consequences that can happen. So fear is a motivating factor in your advertisement. So you can throw that in there. By the way, you don't have to do all of these at the same time. All right. Oh, this is a good one too. Messaging, like hidden messaging and symbols. Hidden messaging, people like to know that something has a deeper meaning. If you can create something that has an additional meaning or deeper meaning, that's like, oh, you know, that's the reason why Jay-Z is one of the best music and hip hop artists of all time. Why? Is not just because he got bars, which, you know, time to time he has bars, but a lot of times it's because it makes you think. Jay-Z is like the number one person that you'll go listen to his records or his songs years later, and you'll be catching things you never even caught before. Like, damn, I never even heard that. Like, or you're just now getting something, but he dropped it 10 years ago. You feel what I'm saying? So how can we add that as part of what we do? Number 12 is slogans and catchphrases, right? So any kind of slogans makes things memorable. So how could you add a slogan? How could you add a catchphrase, you know, to what you do? You know what I mean? What's one of mine? If you've been following me, what have I been saying a lot, right? I say slow motion is better than no motion, right? That's because one of my values is progress. So my biggest thing is around progress. So how could you create a slogan around what you do, make it more appealing? Personalization is always going to be great. It's always going to be great at advertising. Anytime somebody can feel like you're personalizing your offer, you're personalizing something to them specifically, that's going to be great in your ads. The visual appeal is great. I mean, we know that anytime you're looking good, you know what I'm saying? Anytime, you know what I mean? It don't necessarily got to be fancy or shiny or watches. It don't got to be none of that, or chains, or bags or earrings. But if you could look good, if you could look clean, if you could look nice, people like things that look visually, right? Whether it's you or whatever you're a part of, try to make things look nice, and that'll also encourage people in your advertisements. Repetition is a great one. People seeing things over and over and over. That's one of the reasons why I say run ads too, because it's the repetition. And man, it's not necessarily they're going to click or sign up the first time, but it's the repetition. That's why in ads, if you ever noticed, if you ever looked at ads, they have something called reach versus impressions. Reach is how many unique people see your content. Impressions is how many times that person saw your content. You feel what I'm saying? That makes a big difference. Exaggeration is huge, right? So anytime you can create something that is that is bigger or bolder, or something that it basically is like shock factor, right? It's something that is something that will capture attention that's out of the norm, out of the ordinary. We got nostalgia, which is good, right? So anytime you can bring somebody back to a certain time in life, or there's a certain song, or I can tell you, for me, nostalgia has been like, if somebody's talking about Mario Go-Kart, I used to play that for hours and hours. Like, so I love Mario Go-Kart, right? Even to this day, I don't get a chance to play it, right? But anytime you can bring nostalgia back to somebody, that's always great as well. And it's how you do it in your advertisement. So if you're talking about certain things, you go back to that moment in time, and that's going to bring that person that's watching it to go back a moment in time. We have a targeted advertising, right? So that's specifically what niche are you focused on? Who are you helping? Who are you specifically targeting, right? What does that really look like? I was just talking to a client, and we were talking about setting up her ads, and she said, well, I can help nonprofits. And I said, great. I said, I love it. I said, go help the nonprofits. And I said, well, but how can we target specific nonprofits? And we went through it, and she realized, like, oh, you know what? I can actually help pastors. I can help churches, because all churches want to be able to grow their nonprofit, and her specialty happened to be connecting with helping these nonprofits connect with their local community. So boom, so there you go. Product 19 is product demonstration. So how can you demonstrate your product? How can you show it? How can you show how it works? How can you show that it's real? Whatever you're doing, demonstrate it. If you're coaching, well, what would demonstrating your product look like, or your service? Well, coaching somebody else, right? Wouldn't that be a demonstration to somebody watching it? So how can you show people and demonstrate what you have? That's powerful. Freebies and giveaways is always going to be great. Anytime you can give away bonuses or freebies or giveaways, that's always going to encourage somebody to take the action you want them to take in your advertising. Social media influencers and collaborations, right? That's going to be great too. So anytime you have social media influencers that are in your advertising or even promoting your advertisement, that's going to be great, right? If they say, oh, damn, if this person is rocking with, Terrell or this person or that person, okay, well, then they must be good because this influencer is busy and has as many followers as this person has. Okay, I can see how this person might be important. You know what I mean? From even some of the people that, that's been tied to me, right? Like I mentioned ET earlier, right? Who has million of Instagram followers. Well, damn, if ET is following Terrell must know something, right? ET just ain't following anybody, right? Or if it's like an Evan Carmichael, damn, I saw Evan Carmichael was speaking at Terrell's event. He's working with him, helping, they working together, collaborating. I'm seeing him speaking in different places, right? With Terrell, guess what? That I understand that having that is helping. You feel what I'm saying? So be more strategic about that.